All right, welcome to Turks and Jerks 2025. And we don't just mean the people on this panel.
Who's who?
So we're gonna talk about the best person of the year, the worst person of the year, and we're gonna have you guys weigh in as well. Cenk Uygur, John Iadarola, Brett Ehrlich, everyone's represented here. We got Happy Half Hour, Damage Report, Young Turks. Jared Jackson's gonna join us in the second half hour. He's from Watchlist, of course. You should check out Rashad Ritchie's Indisputable as well. He was here last year on this. All right, so before we get started on Turks and Jerks, I'm gonna read one comment left over from the show because it's appropriate to this show. Eclectic wrote in and said, Scott Jennings should win Smirk of the Year. Okay, that's pretty good. Could also be in contention for Jerk of the Year. I'm actually gonna go a little bit out of order here, guys, because I'm gonna tell you who the community is choosing between, because you're the community, and I want you guys to go and vote if you're into it on TYT.com. We get to your results at the very end. So candidates for Turk of the Year from the community are Zoran Mamdani, Rokana, Tom Massey. We have a Republican in Turk of the Year, and Miss Rachel. Okay, did any of us pick them? Well, we're going to find out in a little bit. The Jerks are also an interesting category: Donald Trump, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and Benjamin Netanyahu. So some heavyweights in there, and some gadflies. So TYT.com, get busy voting. And then let's get started, okay? So John, we're gonna start with Turk of the Year here, and we're gonna start with you. Who do you have?
Yeah, so this is probably not that surprising to people who have been following me on the Damage Report for the past couple of years. Basically, ever since I had my daughter Raina, this is someone that I, like a lot of young parents, became familiar with. And because I was already familiar with her, at the very beginnings of her sort of wading into politics, Miss Rachel just caught my eye politically. I think that she's not just the Turk of the Year, she's like the ultimate, like, is she the best person on the planet? Maybe, like the purest person? I get these like waves of nostalgia for people like Mr. Rogers. And I get so sad realizing that like it doesn't really seem like we have a lot of people like that anymore, or maybe the way social media works, you can't have a person that sort of pure anymore. And yet I think that she comes the closest of anyone. I mean, honestly, even if you left off the political stuff, the advocacy for the people and especially the children of Gaza at large or individually, that she has just constantly throughout the past year plus been focusing on. I think that she is a great example of how we can educate and instill empathy and good qualities and good emotional control in children, like Mr. Rogers did a number of decades ago. I love how brave she is, how she doesn't back down even when like so much money and attention and bot networks are being, rallied against her. Again, not only for Gaza, but previously, like when, she just posted on social media about how, all kids, regardless of their parents or regardless of whether they're LGBTQ, have value. And her, like some of her fans, apparently that was enough for them to drop her, and they would just berate her, and she'd get death threats, and she never backed down from any of it. And she just seems like a great person through and through, politically, personally. And I think that we need great role models like that. Role models, I think, for parents, role models for entertainers and educators, but also political role models. Imagine if, more than maybe one or two of our elected officials had the moral clarity and the backbone that she has, but we really don't have anyone like that in elected office. And so I'm so glad that she is out there, that she hasn't backed off, she hasn't been driven away by all the toxicity and the trolls and the horrible Islamophobes and all of that stuff. And so it is Miss Rachel Accurso.
Well, it's a compelling case, and I'm proud to be on a McCarthyite list along with Miss Rachel. so I'll take that. Hey, I'm on a list with a Turk of the Year nominee, both from the community and from John. So that's awesome. Look, I'll do my Turk of the Year next. When JR joins us in the next segment, he'll chip in as well. So lots of great candidates, and that doesn't often happen in a year. We usually struggle to find some, but you guys are right. Ro Khanna is a great pick, and Zohran Mamdani certainly should be considered. But I went with what I usually do, which is more unsung heroes. And so my Turk of the Year officially is all the Palestinian journalists that have been murdered in Gaza. Over 253 killed. But along with them, I'm also putting 3 Americans on there. Trey Yingst, believe it or not, from Fox News, Jeremy Diamond from CNN, and Robert Greenwald from Brave New Films. So Brave New Films did Gaza Under Fire, Gaza Journalists Under Fire, highlighting the several hundred journalists that have been killed in Gaza. Wonderful, brave work showing the destruction there and the attack against news and information itself. And you see me criticize establishment media, I don't know, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times a year, right? But we can't wait to give credit where credit is due. And so I'm giving credit to Jeremy Diamond and Trey Yingst because they earned it. When they were on the ground, they would show what the reality was. And they didn't do propaganda, they did real news. They showed, the tunnel doesn't lead to the hospital. It's actually, quite a distance away. Trey Yingst, when he won his journalism award, stuck up for the Palestinian journalists that have been killed. And I can go on and on about their great reporting. But most of all, to the brave journalists that risked their lives. And sometimes, people here in America would point out, and Barry Weiss is accused of doing this. There's a Palestinian journalist, and then next thing you know, Israel would drop a bomb on them and kill them, and oftentimes their family members. So to do reporting in the most brutal, genocide on the planet, knowing that journalists are being targeted, that is act of extraordinary courage. And by the way, 253 journalists murdered is more than all of the conflicts in the world combined. So I'll give you just 2 more stats here to give you a sense of the devastation and give one more piece of credit. Latest total number of aid workers killed in Gaza is over, number of fatalities is 70,945 at least. And that doesn't include all the people under the rubble, but number of aid workers killed is 3,200 plus. As well, also more than any other conflict, more than all the other conflicts combined. But the IDF just accidentally murdered 3,200 aid workers, accidentally murdered 253 journalists, including Shireen Abu Akleh. That was before October 7th. She was the most famous Palestinian American journalist, and maybe the most famous journalist in the Middle East. And an IDF sniper shot her in the neck and assassinated her. So this is among the journalists that are murdered by Israel quite regularly. But ironic last shout out is to Israeli press, oftentimes doing way better work than the American press. And Plus 972 magazine in particular, they broke a number of super important stories, including Where's Daddy program that Israel was running, where we found out they were picking people to kill based off of an AI program. That kind of surveillance state is coming to your neck of the woods soon. And they waited till they went home so that their entire family would be murdered along with them. But Plus 972 also broke this story. Just give you one quote from it. Data from an internal Israeli intelligence database indicates that at least 83% of Palestinians killed in Israel's onslaught on Gaza were civilians. Worst civilian death ratio of any terrorist group in the world. And we know a lot of these facts partly because of good Israeli press breaking some of these stories, partly with the 2 brave journalists in America, Jeremy Diamond and Trey Yingst, and people like Robert Greenwald highlighting it, but mainly because of the Palestinian journalists who risked their lives to get us critical information about this genocide. And unfortunately for a lot of them, their lives were taken. And for me, easy Turk of the Year. All right, Brett.
Listen, John and Cenk chose some really great people, but they're wrong as all get out. My choice for Turk of the Year is clearly the best. And I think that competition is really the spirit of pulling out heroes, is to compete for who the best hero is, and then for me to talk trash about thoroughly good people. All right, so here are my, it's a special, it's a year-end special. All right, so my Turk of the year, I also was trying to go for the unsung heroes. I was trying to think out of the box. And so I thought that for me, the Turk of the year is all the people who had the opportunity and took the opportunity to film ICE officers behaving badly. All those citizen journalists out there who, it's terrifying to be in a scenario where you're seeing masked men grab people and throw them in cars in your very own community. Or if you work at a courthouse or you're at a courthouse, to see them abduct someone at a courthouse. But these folks, while they could have been scared, they did the noble thing and they pulled out their phones. As the surveillance state is surveilling us, they surveilled it back. And so we were able to, they were able to shine a light on a lot of the injustices that I think the president thought he could get away with. So in New York courthouse, 26 Federal Plaza Federal Building in Lower Manhattan, a woman and her young daughter desperately tried to cling to her husband. And as they got tackled, that's the actual video right there. And that guy was relieved of his duties due to investigation. Kat Abu Ghazaleh was thrown to the ground. This is a 19-year-old American citizen who was documenting what was happening in Walgreens and was chased out of the Walgreens. This is a video of a police officer breaking into a woman's bathroom, or an ICE agent breaking into a woman's bathroom and telling her to pull her pants up. And she had to come out. I don't know about you, but when something scary like that happens to me, the last thing I can do is get off the toilet. But yeah, there's a lot. These masked men are drunk with the power, and they are trying to take people who in many situations were like at the courthouse, trying to do what the government asked them to do. And many of these, the sneaky actions taken by the federal government was to just go there, that's where they're gonna be. While the president out of one side of his mouth is saying, we're gonna get the killers, the murderers. Instead, they went to Home Depot and they found people who were like trying to build a deck. And that's not okay. And it is the brave people out there who were able to shine a light on it. And in many scenarios, there were some amazing acts of hypocrisy that were filmed. Chicago journalist Debbie Brockman was forced to the ground and cuffed by 3 federal agents while she was out reporting. DHS said that she was assaulting the officers, but there is a journalist whose job is to find out what is going on in the streets, and someone else filmed her getting abducted. And she was, while they said she assaulted the officers, she was released without charge later. There was, in Chicago, mass officers pulled a screaming woman from her car while she was in line to pick up her kids from school. And the reports were that they didn't have a warrant. We found out about that. In Chicago, a white SUV was throwing tear gas near a middle school in broad daylight. And then, ironically, this is amazing. At Cato, New York workplace, ICE goons were caught, as I showed earlier, busting into a women's bathroom. Another in Chicago, as Trump has cited drunk driving immigrants as one of the main reasons for him to crack down on immigration. There was a video we saw. What was hilarious is this is body cam footage. So in some scenarios, the folks who are filming ICE agents doing wrong are the police officers themselves. Normal stadies or folks that are just patrolling the streets, local police and law enforcement caught an ICE agent who was drunk driving and himself plowed into a shrub and then pretended there was nothing wrong with that. But my favorite clip of all this year was something very similar when a police officer's body camera caught an ICE agent trying to get out from get away with a drunk driving charge by citing his job with Department of Homeland Security. Take a look.
The guy in the white shirt.
That's the colonel.
Colonel, don't mean to me. Okay, well, I'm federal.
Okay.
Call my supervisor.
Okay. Do you want to do the exercises or no?
I'll do it. Are you Haitian?
That's nothing to do with my race, buddy.
My question was, are you Haitian?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he's from. Okay. If you're a cop Whatever.
Yeah, I'm fucking law enforcement,
Okay, dude. Stand up.
Stand up, come on.
Stand up. Put your feet in it.
No.
Man,
Put
don't
your
be a
feet in.
kid, come on.
Stop.
Where are my kids?
Stand up.
God damn you guys.
But like seeing that stuff is what's so important. Many of us can talk about it, but to actually see what happens in broad daylight, that guy so ironically yelling, "Where are my kids?" when his job is to separate parents from kids, to abduct them on the street, separate them. They get a woman while she's trying to pick up her kid from school. And it's really only when we see it does it really crystallize. And when it goes viral is the only way we can counter what essentially they're trying to do to us, we do right back to them. And I think that's my Turk of the year, people who caught ICE agents behaving badly.
Well, I'll give you a little tease of when JR gets here, he's also gonna pick reporters, but on a different topic. So apparently, I mean, for a show and a network that criticizes establishment media 24/7, it's ironic that 3 out of the 4 of us. And Miss Rachel's not a reporter, but she's also on air. I mean, your guys aren't reporters, Brett, but they kind of are, right? Yeah. And so we all in some ways picked folks reporting on the evil doing of others.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue Miss Rachel, for a lot of people who don't necessarily follow political news, is a unique avenue for people to understand what's actually happening there in an unfiltered way.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more connective tissue here, which is maybe the Turk of the year should have been Steve Jobs, because where did they record most of the things that Brett was showing? On smartphones, right? Where did most of the Palestinian journalists record things? On smartphones. And same for well, it's
what people consume, Miss Rachel, is on smartphones.
On smartphones, right? And a little bit appropriate, I get, maybe a little bit. I don't know, is this even any connection? But whenever people attack immigrants, I love reminding them Steve Jobs' dad was a Syrian Muslim immigrant. So we got to kick him out of the country. And I told some right winger that in social media, and I'm like, he said, "Oh, we should kick out all you people from the Middle East." And I said, "Steve Jobs, dad, blah blah." And he's like, "Small price to pay." If you say so. Anyways, somebody wrote in, a lot of you wrote in with jerks of the year, and jerk of the year usually takes longer because there's a much bigger list. But I want to read one. John Bogino said, Ahmed Al-Ahmed for Turk of the year. That's a good point. So he's the bystander. In fact, not even a bystander. He got shot twice in Bondi Beach, Australia.
Oh wow!
Who
yeah.
tackled the guy, the shooters, the ISIS-related shooters there, and took the gun away from the dad. And so that was awesome. And you're right, that certainly deserves a nomination.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go for Turk of the Year, and we'll have the community weigh in at the end, and we'll go, ta-da, this is our Turk of the Year. But I just want to go to you guys one more time here. John, what do you think about the picks of the community, Ro Khanna, Massey, and Zora?
I mean, I think they're amazing. It's crazy how strange they are. I think that Zoran Mamdani both provided a lot of inspiration to a lot of people, but also did it in like the exact way a lot of us would want it to be done. Not purely rhetorical, not purely based on some cult of personality, but based on putting together like a well thought out set of policies. And so I like that. Thomas Massey, it's strange to have someone like him on that list because I'm sure we disagree on virtually everything, but he has earned more credit than I think any other Republican throughout the year with what he's done. He seems to actually believe things which so few Republicans or even Democrats in elected office actually do. And when he believes something, he actually sticks to it, which is certainly admirable. And who am I missing off of the community list? Rachel was there.
No, you said Zoran.
I mentioned
Ro
Zoran. I
and
mentioned
Massey.
Thomas. Oh, Ro
Miss
Khanna.
Rachel.
Ro and Miss Rachel.
Yeah, no, obviously we love Ro Khanna. I was just talking about him today, about him, going toe to toe with Ted Cruz over the new proposed tax in California. I love Ro because he actually shows up to defend what he believes. He doesn't hide. Like he shows up even for interviews where people might disagree with him. I definitely like that. I feel like he's a great messenger. I feel like he listens when the people who like him or whatever feel like he's made a misstep historically. I figure like he's been willing to actually hear that out and adapt, which again, not a lot of politicians do. And so I think those are great choices. I love really fast. I love both of yours. Brett, yours is very creative. I wouldn't have thought of it. It's a great choice. I think those videos are one reason that public opinion has turned so massively against mass deportation in less than 1 year. The fundamental lies that were the foundation of it have been exposed. The utter cruelty, the waste of money, all of that has been exposed. And some of it's been through traditional media, but a lot of it has been through people with their smartphones. I think that's a great choice. And then Cenk, on yours, it will never stop being amazing to me that we live in a world where there's like, in our country, there's like 50 million people that are like, Elon Musk is like the best guy. He's a warrior, free speech warrior. And there are people that are in Gaza being willing to die and dying, like narrowly escaping death multiple times and then dying just to do their job, just to reveal what's going on. It is a level of heroism that I don't think we can actually grapple with when it's a real person that's doing it. Like if it's Aragorn or if it's Captain America, we get that, and it makes for a good movie. But like, it almost feels like people don't want to acknowledge that there are people like that in the real world, and there are, particularly in Gaza.
When we come back, JR Jackson joins us, and I read more of your comments on Turk and Jerk of the Year as well. We'll be right back. All right, back on Turks and Jerks special at the end of 2025 here. Cenk Uygur, John Idol, JR Jackson joins us.
What's going on? What's going on? Wait, is my mic on? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, happy people? I was just on this morning with John after the watch party, and he tried to knock me off of my normal pessimism. And you know what? For the first time, just for like 5 minutes, he got me. So I guess maybe I can re-up it here a little bit more.
All right, good. Until we get to Jerk of the Year, then we'll be back to the pessimism.
Then I'm back.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to JR in a second, but first I want to do some shout outs here. First, Box, thank you for gifting 10 memberships on YouTube, and he wrote in on YouTube as well. My biggest jerk is Trump. My biggest jerk is Anna. Interesting. Then Ashanti Holmes did a shout out for John. John, you're a meme. Someone sent it to me today. Your response to Ivanka Trump saying how white supremacy must be destroyed, you simply replied, maybe bring it up at dinner or something.
Yeah,
you know that you're a meme?
It was from a few years ago. I occasionally see it going around like on Instagram and stuff, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And then JR, I don't want to leave you out. Virginia, South Carolina wrote it on TYT.com member section. Want to give JR a shout out for his hard work on the watch list. Thank you for always keeping us updated. And don't worry when you can't do the show, we love you.
Well, what do you know? Yeah, it's every once in a while. I mean, I like to be the morning show since I'm loud and get up way too early anyway. I mean, I'll just slide right back into the spot. It's fun times.
All right, everybody check out JR on watch list. All right, JR, who's your Turk of the Year?
Well, I heard you guys on the first half here, and apparently we're all on same veins, but it's multiple people also as well, similar to Brett, and I believe also you, Cenk Uygur. But we've got reporters that are doing, I think, some of the work that will require us to avoid the normalcy of this fascist administration that continues to want to use their pillars of beating down the press. One of them specifically is Rachel Scott. So multiple press members in the United States specifically, they have to face off directly with Donald J. Trump. And he calls all of them any kinds of different names. Now we've seen some of the ones, specifically one of the main ones was when he was on Air Force One, yelled at one particular woman and called her piggy. That was Catherine Lucy, a Bloomberg reporter. He went after Rachel Scott, as I mentioned, but I wanted to bring up Rachel Scott first because, as you guys all know, she's a USC alum, so best damn school in the world. And then also Caitlin Collins over from CNN, also their main White House correspondent there. Mary Bruce, ABC News's chief White House correspondent as well. They've all been called names like obnoxious. That was Rachel Scott. Stupid and nasty, Caitlin Collins. Mary Bruce, apparently it's not the question that she asked specifically about the Epstein files and whether or not he's gonna be releasing more information or what he's hiding and covering something else up and why his stories just don't make any sense. But he doesn't it wasn't the question that bugged him. What bugged him was actually her tone and her attitude, which I guess is a problem when you're lying all the time. Also a standard, and I haven't seen her in too many battles directly with Donald Trump this year, but Yamiche Alcindor, she's a longtime op to Donald Trump. I mean, by asking normal questions like, so Why is it you're breaking the law today? Simple things like that. But this is, I think, where it breaks down to why it's so important. If you have this suppression of the press, suppression of the media directly with reporters that have direct access to you, the normalcy that comes with that is we don't think it's normal for folks to ask questions. We don't think that it's American for us to have a press that actually digs into details about what is that you've said, what is that you've done, and then ask you later whether or not those things match up. We've seen that energy sweep across this entire administration. Also to Caroline Leavitt, the way she berates reporters in the press briefing room, like, every day. And every time she's caught in a lie, it turns into switching over whether or not you're gonna answer that question, and then goes into personal attacks. I mean, it's kind of the standard for this administration. So I just wanted to give like that big head nod to the folks who, even when it seems like they're being quiet or shutting down and allowing this guy to bully and bulldoze his way through these press conferences and all these, at least they're still willing to come back and answer those questions, ask those questions yet again, despite all of the potential pressure that's put on them. Because another aspect of this is to pressure their bosses, the owners of these national big media corporations, to shut them down and keep them from those areas of access, only because they don't want anyone to really know what they're doing, despite the fact they've called themselves the most transparent administration in history. We've seen the way that worked with the Pentagon over at the Department of War, Pete Hegseth shutting down completely anybody that's gonna ask any questions about what they find is probably the most important aspect of things they wanna cover up. That is their switch over from all of this fascism, from policy, to then their violent approaches and bloodthirst for international conflicts. It's the type of thing that they don't want us to know about. That is until they've already done it.
Yeah, so for a network that criticizes the media a lot, we picked a lot of reporters here. You know why? Fairest network in America. That's why. So we love to give credit where credit is due, and if you're doing a great job of reporting, oh my God, we love it. We want great journalism. We don't want less journalism, we want more journalism. Okay, now we go to Turk of the Year, final selection. Well, now there's an argument for Miss Rachel here because John picked her and she was also among the finalists in the TYT community. But a lot of compelling cases were made. The reporters that died in Gaza, let alone the reporters here that supported them, and then the reporters who challenged Donald Trump was JR's pick. The average guy who was recording ICE was Brett's pick. But again here, the community was pretty overwhelming, not only nominating him, but putting him as the lapping the field more than everyone else combined. So John, I'm gonna knock out my choice and everybody else's choice, and we got Miss Rachel and Ro Khanna here as my finalists. And obviously you're biased because you picked Miss Rachel, but
yeah, I am torn, especially because I really like Ro. Like he's a good guy. Like he comes on the show. He always defends his position. For me, I'm just surprised that his vote, the gap was so big. Like that almost makes me want to, in a knee-jerk way, go in an opposite direction because I feel like he's been great. I mean, he's been great for a number of years. Like, and what if you want to talk about moral clarity, as I did with Miss Rachel, he has demonstrated that in prior conflicts as well, constantly trying to work in a bipartisan way to rein in, the US involvement in conflicts like in Yemen and things like that. He's been great on a lot of issues for a long time, and there's a case to be made that without him working with Thomas Massie, maybe we don't even get to this point in terms of disclosure of the Epstein files. And so it isn't just that he's taken good positions or that he said the right thing, he's actually made things happen. And so that is definitely deserving of attention. I just feel like Miss Rachel doesn't have political power, and I have no idea how much money she makes on YouTube, but I've seen the view counts on some of the videos. And I know how many my daughter has contributed to it. She was risking so much with the positions that she took. I don't know, it kind of doesn't feel right for him to win, but the people really did support him. So yeah. I don't know, I'm torn.
So here's the thing, I love what you're saying about Miss Rachel, and I'd love to give her Turk of the Year, almost to rub it in the face of the pro-Israel crowd, right? And that's probably one of the reasons she was nominated by our TYT Nation, et cetera. And she does it when she doesn't have to do it. And that to me is super compelling, right? Now, Ro Khanna's case, we might never get the Epstein files if it wasn't for Ro Khanna joining Massey. But not only that, he kind of halfway embarrassed his own party until he dragged them all to voting to release the Epstein files, which they had not done before. And he got a bunch of Republican allies to do that. I mean, he couldn't have played it any better. He's been tough on Israel all along, saying stop the bombing and stop the funding of the bombing. He's the one who did the letter to recognize Palestine as a state. And of course, that enraged the Israel First crowd. He's been super brave. He doesn't take corporate PAC money. He tried to lower drug prices. He got Republican allies on lowering drug prices bill, right? So consistently working the hardest by far has been the most true in terms of any of our representatives, and the most compelling. And John, I think that to me, the two things that make a difference is how resounding the community was in his favor. Mm-hmm. And the other is that when we desperately needed one honest person in Congress on our side, he stepped up. He stepped up in the beginning of Just Democrats. He stepped up in the beginning of Rebellion PAC, progressive wing, populist wing. He was Bernie's co-chair, has always been for economic populism, and has fought for everyone in a way that we wish we could see out of all of our representatives. So I'm gonna go with the community here. Ro Khanna, Turk of the Year. Look at that, the community. I like the celebration. Give the fireworks its due. We are a show of the people, by the people, for the people. So you guys overwhelmingly picked Ro Khanna and Benjamin Netanyahu. So we're going with your picks. Great job, guys. Totally agree.
Yeah. Unlike Donald Trump and Texas Republicans, we actually care about the vote and we listen.
And I'll leave you on a nice note from Jonathan Boris-Johnny, who wrote in on Super Chat a little bit earlier in the program. My Turk of the Year is the Young Turks itself for standing up for the factions of the left, refusing audience capture, and showing real courage through adversity. People came around on almost all of it. We weathered the storm. Love you all. Jonathan, I really appreciate you saying that. We're definitely not the Turks of the Year, but I'll tell you though, those of you who stuck with us and who believed in us and saw that you were right and that you were right to be open-minded and open-hearted and that we were all going to fight for justice as we've been on this journey for 20 years. I love you guys, and certainly every year you're the Turk of the Year for us because we're nothing without you. And the whole point of the show is to make sure we get your voice out. So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to all the viewers, to all the members, to everyone who participated. Love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.